Demolition begins at Pimlico, Baltimore's iconic race course, Reborn. Imagine standing in Baltimore's Park Heights neighborhood, witnessing the historic Pimlico Race Course come down piece by piece, marking the beginning of a monumental $400 million renovation. But here's where it gets controversial. Will this massive project truly benefit the local community, or will it disrupt the delicate balance of this quiet neighborhood? On July 21, 2025, residents gathered to watch as the first barns and outbuildings crumbled, signaling the start of a transformation that aims to turn Pimlico into a year-round racing hub and a premier sports tourism destination. Craig Thompson, chair of the Maryland Stadium Authority, expressed optimism. This multi-year project will not only modernize Pimlico Race Course, but also inject significant economic vitality into the surrounding communities. For many Park Heights residents, like Fergus Allison, who has called the area home since 1979, the demolition represents hope for change. "While I'm not a regular attendee, I'm ready for some upgrades," Allison said. "Seeing new buildings rise would be a welcome sight." However, skepticism lingers. Stedford Clark, who lives near the grandstand, remembers previous promises of renewal that never materialized. "They said this before, twice. I need to see concrete progress to believe they're serious this time," Clark explained. Concerns over increased traffic and potential displacement add to the mix. Allison wonders, will they try to buy out our homes? "It's not something I'm actively considering, but it's a possibility." The renovation plans extend beyond the racetrack itself. A hotel, event spaces, and restaurants are set to join the scene, raising questions about how these developments will affect the community. Business owners like Joe Camphor of Yayan Toya's Cuisine are cautiously optimistic. "We're hoping this revitalization will attract more customers and bring new life to Park Heights," Camphor said. The Maryland Stadium Authority has authorized $400 million in bonds to reconstruct Pimlico and build a new training facility in Carroll County. Once completed, Pimlico will host more than 100 racing days annually, supporting approximately 500 jobs. Baltimore Mayor Brandon Scott believes the project will significantly boost Park Heights, stating, "The community is excited about the potential and opportunities this brings." After hosting its 150th Preakness Stakes in May, Pimlico Race Course cleared out in June, with all operations moving to Laurel Park for 2026. The 152nd Preakness Stakes is scheduled to return to Pimlico in 2027, ensuring continuity of the storied tradition. As demolition continues, the fate of Park Heights hangs in the balance. Will this ambitious project live up to expectations, or will it face challenges that test the resilience of the community? Your thoughts on this matter are valuable. How do you envision the future of Pimlico and Park Heights? Pimlico demolition begins, a new era for Park Heights. Imagine standing in front of a beloved landmark, knowing it's about to be torn down to make way for something new. Bittersweet, isn't it? That's exactly what's happening in Park Heights, Baltimore, as crews begin the demolition of Pimlico Racing Facility stables. But here's where it gets interesting. This transformation is set to redefine Maryland horse racing and revitalize the surrounding community. In May, the Maryland Board of Public Works gave the green light to the demolition, approving a contract that will turn Pimlico into a centerpiece of Maryland's racing scene. The Maryland Thoroughbred Racetrack Operating Authority crafted the redevelopment plan, which has now been enshrined in state law. For longtime residents like Tabitha Chambers, who has lived in the neighborhood her entire life, witnessing the demolition is both heartbreaking and hopeful. Seeing the Preakness as a little girl and growing up with all that history, the changes coming are significant, she said. "I wanted to capture it all on camera because it holds so many memories." Hazel Hilton, who lives across the street, echoed similar sentiments. "It's been a long time coming," she noted, adding that the demolition is a welcome step towards the broader revitalization of Park Heights. Joyce, a resident for 10 years, expressed enthusiasm about the economic benefits the project will bring. "We're happy because it means more business activity," she explained. "Yes, there will be construction for a few years, but we're willing to wait until 2027. The $400 million investment in this renovation has garnered support from various quarters, including the Maryland legislature. Baltimore City Delegate Sandy Rosenberg, representing District 41, believes the project, is justified given the state's financial situation. Nobody tried to cut this funding during the last legislative session, he stated, indicating strong backing for the initiative. While the Preakness Stakes will be relocated to Laurel, during construction, it's scheduled to return to the revamped Pimlico in 2027. This ambitious transformation aims to host over 100 race days annually, positioning Maryland as a premier destination for sports tourism. The Maryland Stadium Authority emphasized the project's importance, stating, "This is a crucial step in turning Pimlico into a year-round racing venue. The renovation will drive economic growth in the surrounding community and enhance Maryland's reputation as a top-tier sports tourism hub." As this historic site undergoes its metamorphosis, residents like Chambers remain optimistic. "It's historical, it's life-changing," she reflected. "We're looking forward to the exciting changes ahead." But here's the question. Is the hefty price tag worth the investment? How do you think the community will adapt to these changes? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Pimlico demolition begins. New track timeline unveiled. It's the end of an era for horse racing fans as the iconic Pimlico Race Course, affectionately known as Old Hilltop, is set to be demolished this Thursday. But here's the emotional twist. While the walls of this historic track will soon be rubble, its legacy is far from over. In fact, this marks the beginning of an ambitious rebuild that promises to breathe new life into the sport, and it's already sparking debate among enthusiasts and critics alike. First opened in 1870, Pimlico has been a cornerstone of horse racing, most famously hosting the Preakness Stakes, the second jewel in the Triple Crown. Yet despite its storied history, the track has been in dire need of upgrades for decades. Previous attempts to revitalize it often stalled, leaving the once beloved venue battered and outdated. And this is the part most people miss. The new plan isn't just about tearing down old walls. It's about reimagining the future of horse racing in Maryland. Under the new initiative, the state has taken control of Pimlico from the Stronach Group, a Canadian company that has owned the track since the early 2000s. A state-created nonprofit, reviving the historic name of the Maryland Jockey Club, will now oversee Maryland racing and take the reins of the Preakness beginning in 2027. Here's where it gets controversial. The state will pay the Stronach Group approximately $5 million annually for the rights to host the Preakness. Is this a fair price for preserving tradition or a costly gamble on a declining sport? We'll let you decide. The rebuild itself is no small feat. With a budget of about $500 million in bonds and cash, the state plans to construct a brand new Pimlico, alongside a state-of-the-art training center in Carroll County. The goal? To have the track ready in time for the 2027 Preakness, less than 2 years from now. But here's the bold question. Can this aggressive timeline truly revitalize interest in horse racing? Or if it's setting itself up for another false start? Demolition, which will rely on excavators rather than explosives, was initially slated to begin about a month and a half after the 150th Preakness Stakes on May 17th, but faced a slight delay. Starting Thursday, barns and outbuildings near Weir Avenue will be the first to go, according to the Maryland Stadium Authority. This authority took over the rebuild after the dissolution of the Maryland Thoroughbred Racetrack Operating Authority earlier this year. Before the wrecking balls arrived, archivists carefully removed and preserved historic artifacts, from grandstand chairs to vintage typewriters from the press box. The state even auctioned off some collectibles, giving fans a chance to own a piece of history. Moving forward, the Stadium Authority plans to create an exhibition within the new racetrack, showcasing Pimlico's rich past through artifacts, oral histories, photographs, and salvage materials. Officials haven't shied away from describing the timeline as aggressive and ambitious. Gary McGuigan, an executive vice president with the authority, called it the most complex undertaking in the organization's 40-year history. The Preakness will be held at Laurel Park next year, but is expected to return to Pimlico in 2027, assuming everything goes according to plan. As the dust settles on this historic demolition, one thing is clear. The future of Pimlico is as much about preserving tradition as it is about innovation. But here's the final thought-provoking question. Will this rebuild reignite passion for horse racing? Or will it become a costly monument to a bygone era? Let us know what you think in the comments. We're eager to hear your take.